Good morning. We are back. It is Tuesday, 23 days left to the elections, and people are now starting to pay attention as the blogs are hot, and we welcome you to the hot seat. And this is our weekly daily devotional with Pastor Don. And again, Pastor Don, thank you for coming and sharing with us your wisdom and your knowledge, and please keep praying for Moreno Valley and the Inland Empire. And we're just happy to have you. So thank you, and good morning.
Well, good morning, Donovan. And of course, thank you, as always, for helping me producing and promoting my podcast here. Before I get started, it's interesting that this morning the topic is on vision. And I'm blessed to have gotten to know you, Donovan, because off the air, you and I have talked. And we've discussed many things in detail, especially about the area of Moreno Valley. And I just want your audience to know that this man does have a wonderful vision for District 1 of this city. In general, his vision is about serving people, making his district safer, and providing a better quality of living for the people living here. And as you know, Donovan, I appreciate everything, all the time, all the energy that you have given me in my church plant. You've been a real blessing from God, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you. So thanks so much. But the act of having a vision is extremely important in life. Many people put an annual plan together for their life, or maybe they have a 5-year plan for their family. And the reason that it is so important is because it gives a person direction in what they want to accomplish and allows them to track their progress. You may not know this, I don't think I mentioned it too much on the air, but I'm a huge sports fan. When I was younger, I played multiple sports all the way up through college. Unfortunately, today I don't play as much sports as in the past, but I do enjoy watching sports on TV. And I must admit, I'm a huge Lakers fan. For those of you that do not like the Lakers, please don't hate me, but I've been a Lakers fan for as long as I can remember. It had been wonderful. It was awesome when they were winning championships, but today it's a struggle watching them play and lose consistently. The Lakers had one of the worst seasons ever since moving to LA from Minneapolis last season. So they fired their head coach Byron Scott and hired another former Laker, Luke Walton. And what's interesting is in Luke Walton's first press conference, he stressed his vision for the team the upcoming season. He said it was important for everyone to understand what type of coach he was and how he was going to lead his team. Vision is so important, especially in a team environment, because it allows the teammates to be on the same page in going forward towards a common goal. Well, in regards to a church plant, it is also about teamwork. The planting pastor may be the leader or the coach of the team, but the success of any church plant is completely based on the team members. The ultimate leader of any church is Jesus Christ, but the brothers and sisters need to be on the same page on the vision and the mission of the church. We need to be on the same page on our objectives and the strategies to accomplish what we want under the headship of Jesus Christ. So understanding the vision and the mission of a church plant is vital for everyone involved. Which kind of reminds me of a cute story that I heard a couple of weeks back. A pastor had this wonderful vision for this church, and he was ecstatic to present it to his monthly elders at the monthly elders meeting. After giving his most impassioned vision speech that he said he heard from God in a dream, he was really selling his vision idea to the elders. So the elders voted on his request. But unfortunately, they voted down the pastor's proposal by a vote of 12-1. The head elder looked at the pastor and said, "Well, pastor, it's 12 votes to 1. Looks like you've been outvoted and your vision failed. Looks like the time is up for the evening. So close in prayer." Well, the pastor didn't want to give up yet. What he felt was God leading him to do the things that he wanted him to do for this church. So he decided to lead the prayer. As he prayed, he lifted up his hands up to heaven and prayed, "Lord, I know my brother here do not have the same vision you have given me. Please help them see that this is not my vision, but your vision. At that moment, a lightning bolt with a loud clap of thunder burst in through the window into the meeting room, striking the table, splitting it in two, and knocking all the elders to the floor. As the dust cleared, the pastor looked at the head elder and says, "So what do you think of my vision now?" The head elder dusted himself off, sighed, and said to the head pastor, "Well, I guess that means the vote's now 12-2, but you still lose." Well, let me tell you this, folks. If God is in charge of a certain vision, that is the only vote that counts. What I want to do that right now is I want to take a couple minutes to give you my vision and mission statements for the Reflections Moreno Valley Church Plant in Rancho Bulago. I pray that this vision and mission statement touches your heart in such a way that motivates you to want to be part of our team. So here's my vision statement. It's transforming lives of people through the power of the gospel. In other words, our vision is to make a difference in the lives of the people in Southeast Moreno Valley to bring them the gospel message. I want my personal life to reflect the gospel as a disciple of Jesus and be a disciple maker to the individuals in our church. And finally, my vision is to lead people to Jesus Christ, especially now as we are truly living in these end times. And then for those folks to be able to make a difference to others in their own inner world in the power of God. This church is here to lead people to Christ, and after conversion, then guide and teach them through the Holy Spirit to become effective witnesses of the gospel message. Now, my mission statement for Reflections Moreno Valley is to live a life as a reflection of the gospel message of Jesus Christ to the community. Our mission is to impact hearts in order to make a difference for the kingdom of God in Moreno Valley. Our mission is also to have a heart for lost souls in this community and also abroad in presenting the gospel to them. And lastly, the mission of this church plant is to equip hearts to the truths of God through His Word in order to be a united force in our community of Rancho Bulago. Not only that, but the city of Moreno Valley and surrounding cities. We are here to live for God and be a reflection of Him to those around us. Folks, I just want to make this super clear. I love Jesus Christ with all my heart, but I love people as well. And I have a heart for the lost souls in this city. I want to plant seeds of Jesus to anyone who may want to surrender their lives to God. So I ask you, will you join me in planting this church and bringing the good news of Christ to Rancho Bulago? Will you consider being part of this plan from God to be the light in this area? This area of Southeast Moreno Valley needs a Bible-based, Christ-driven church. Together, we can make a difference for the glory of God. So I'm asking you to please mark your calendars to be at my Pastor Don event on October 29th, anytime between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Vista Lomas Park in Rancho Bulago. We will have snacks and drinks and the beautiful playground there for the kids. You can meet me, and of course Donovan, he will be there doing his hot show from there as well. And you don't have to stay long if you have other plans. I would love to meet you and your family and give you the next steps in starting this church in this area. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there on the 29th. Now, if you have any questions or comments or just need prayer, please message me. My full name is Don Meinberg, or email me at reflectionschristianfellowship.com. Or you can comment on any of my devotionals, and I will definitely get back to you. Again, I want to thank you all so very much for considering joining us on the 29th, and I pray that you have a wonderful and blessed week.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Don. Now, I'm going to be there on the 29th, that's very sure. And I asked my listeners to come and join us on the 29th. I'm going to be there. We are in the last days of the political season, so I want to hear some people's comments in regards to Pastor Don's church, if you got any ideas, and just tell some experiences that you deal with your church. But Pastor Don, I got a question. I got two questions, and I just want to ask you this because, I've been getting a lot of feedback saying that, well, you got this show called The Hot Seat, and we love your weekly devotionals, but Pastor Don is actually sitting on the hot seat. So a question I have is this, and this hasn't been canned. Pastor Don doesn't even know what I'm going to ask. As a parishioner myself, now, for some reason, everybody I'm a Catholic by faith and by birth. And so I'm kind of ready, and you were a former Catholic. So, we're already brainwashed from the beginning. We're Catholic because my parents were Catholic, and it goes on and on and on. That's a traditional thing. Now, my question for you is this. I'm a person of faith, and I see these pastors like yourself. You want to start this church, and I'm in a church, and the pastor has. It's funny that you said this thing about vision, and you go to a lot of churches, and these pastors have these great big visions of what they want to do for the church. And I visited a church where the pastor had, he built this, decent sanctuary and everything like that. And then it was like, oh, we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. And he's always asking and squeezing for more and more and more money. Now, this one that I want, this parking lot hasn't been built in over 20 years, but the pastor's running around in a nice classic car. You got some pastors in the Inland Empire that give out $100 bills. It's almost like they're pimping the congregation. I'm going to be straight out with that. So, we know in your church, other than, necessarily building it, once it's, then what? If you've even thought that far.
Well, that's actually an excellent question. And unfortunately, there are many pastors out there that unfortunately do some very, let's say, questionable things when it comes to their vision and mission. And, I'm not here to knock anybody. I mean, they only have to answer to God. But see, my goal is, as you know, Donovan, I already have a church. I have a church in Paris called Reflection, same name, and I've been out there for over 5 years. And I guess I could talk from experience. We have a nice congregation out there. We're not very large. We're about a 20-man church. But see, once I got to that level, instead of continuously telling people, I need more money, I want a building, I need to just do all these things and just keep reaching out to the people for their wallets, I decided I wanted to start another church, because my goal is not to have the biggest building. I don't even have a building. I'm in a school in Paris. My goal is not to make a lot of money. I don't care about the money at all. My goal is to reach lost souls for Jesus. I know you're saying, oh yeah, you have to say that. Well, not really. I don't have to say that. A lot of get in the ministry. It's a job to them, and they make a great living. They make a lot of money, and they're very, very satisfied. Well, that's never my goal, because even at Paris, I don't make hardly any money. And I was blessed by God to have a very successful business, in which I basically walked away from, but I had a very hefty savings account. I had a lot of investments, and basically, Donovan, that's what I live on. I live on that, plus I do some jobs in the side, but I make very little money in the church, and I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying because that's the reality of it. My goal is never to make money for me or just to make a church look nice. My goal has always been, in the 5 years plus that I've been in Paris and now starting here in Rancho Bernardo, is to reach people for Jesus. And that's it. So if we ever got to that point that you just described, then I'd probably go plant another church in order to bring more souls to the Lord. So, yeah, I'm not one of those pastors. I got to be honest with you. Money doesn't drive me. What drives me is watching. I'm going to tell you, just give you an example. I'm going to tell you what drives me, Donovan. When I can have 10, 15 people come to my house in my pool and get baptized, that's worth more money to me than any paycheck you can give me. And we've been blessed in Paris. We've done 60, 70 baptisms in 5 years in a very small church. And I'm not saying, again, that to brag. That's what God has done, and that's what brings me joy. So that's where my heart is. That's what I enjoy, and that's what I would do if I ever got to that level.
Right. And I ask that because I have a lot of friends that are Baptist, Northern Baptist, Southern Baptist, Western Baptist, Eastern Baptist, Baptist of the faith, Baptist of the... You know where I'm going with all these different denomination things. But I see them, and they're turned off by religion because of the prosperity preaching of a lot of pastors, because it seems like it's never enough. It's, the pastor's living in this super huge mansion and driving classic cars. His kids are going to private school, and the parishioners are as poor as dirt, and yet he has a vision for we need to start a school, we need to, do like that. So I just want people to understand out there that if you are under that experience, and if you've had that experience, that's not going to be the experience you're going to get with this church plant at all.
No, not at all.
Because if Pastor Don's vision isn't what I think it is, and I think I'm a fairly good judge of character because, I'm very standoffish, and I tell it the way it is. I wouldn't be working with this guy. And I happen to believe in that vision because he wants to provide for the people and give them a place where they can go and get prayer, they can get outreach. And that's what we're lacking in this city. You've got all these churches, but there's really, the outreach is very minimal. I can't say there is none, but it's very minimal. And it's not known, or it's not above, because if it was, I would be running in saying, have you gone to such and such a church to do this outreach? Oh, it was awesome, it was great, it was this, is that. But again, I'm not knocking any churches or anything like that, but I'm saying is we need a new church with a vision that's going to do something a little bit different than what has been traditionally done. Now my second question is, we talk about vision. If I was to come to your church, what would make your church and your ministry, I want to talk about your ministry, different than maybe another person's ministry? I mean, are you into the theatrics? Do you get the wig and the James Brown cape and kind of get down and do all that stuff like that? I mean, or can I come there for the great rock and roll music, Christian, whatever it is? I mean, what's the vision in your church that's going to be different than what I'm already used to?
Well, again, that's a great question. No, I don't have a wig, and no, I don't dress up in fancy clothes. Matter of fact, the way Donovan, if you could see me now, this is pretty much the way I dress at church. I mean, very, very casual, low key. I think what sets us apart, and I guess the reason I'm going to be able to answer this question is because I've heard it so many times from my parish church. When people go into our parish church, I mean, let me set the stage for you. It's in a elementary school. It's in an NPR room, and it's completely cluttered with school-related things. So when you walk in, you're in an NPR room. Now, we do our best to make it look like a church, but it's not attractional. It doesn't wow you when you walk through the doors. But the one thing that everybody has said, that newcomers have said, they've walked through those doors, is that the people are so friendly, and they felt welcomed. They felt like they belonged when they first walked in, because everybody greets everybody with a smile, a handshake, a hug if that's allowed. We are a happy church, and that's what I promote. I promote people understanding that, there's so many options to do on Sunday morning, and there's so many churches that they could go to. But most people want to go to a church that does three things. It's got to be Christ-centered. It's got to be Bible-based. In other words, the Bible is the key to the teachings, but it also is something that the person feels like they belong, like they're like they have joy when they walk. And that's what the new folks that comes to parish, that's how they feel. And I enjoyed that. So what makes us different? I would say that we care about people. I want people, when they walk in this, to know that they're loved, they're cared for, and that they're going to be in a place that's safe, and it's going to be some place that they're going to grow in their faith. So I'm not sure if that's different than a lot. I'm sure a lot of churches say they do the same, but that is a priority for me. And I've done it with Paris. I want that'd be the same theme for Rancho Balago, is to be a people-oriented, people-first, welcoming church.
Right, because like I said, I'm not knocking any churches, but some churches get so big that next thing you know, I mean, you knew the pastor and you helped him grow the church, and then next thing you know, he's on a TV show, Pastors of LA, or and I'm not knocking you, I'm just saying they get so big to where you can't even go to the pastor because he's got bodyguards now and all, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, especially my age and younger, you get so disenfranchised and turned off, with that, because it's like now the pastor he's taking care of himself, not taking care of us.
Exactly. Now it's all about the pastor, and it's not about Christ. And that once the pastor crosses that line, then that becomes a problem. Right. And no, I don't ever fear that would ever happen to me. Right. You're my only bodyguard, so I don't have any aspirations for any of that stuff. I mean, that's all from the world. I'm not interested in any of that. again, like I said in the vision, it's all about souls.
Right.
It's all about people and
right.
loving people.
Right. Isn't that they're saying, like our parents used to tell us a long time ago, this church might look great, it might be mega, it might look like it's a rich, super duper church. Just because it looks like that, it's like us looking at a person on the outside. They might be a beautiful person on the outside, but inside they might be the most decrepit thing. Oh,
that's so true, Donovan. That is so true, because when, like I said, when you walk into my parish, it's nothing to look at. Mm-hmm. It'd be like looking at an unattractive individual. But when you walk in and you see the inners of the church, it becomes more attractive, because they feel like, this church is someone who is going to care about me. Right. And that's what we want the rest of the people.
Right, exactly. And that's the kind of churches I like. It's good to have the glitz and glamour and be blessed like that. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, am I getting the spiritual word and nutrition out of that church? You could be the smallest church, 24 members, I don't care. But do you, as a pastor, have that calling to feed me that spiritual word that I need?
One last thing I want to say on this is that we have a motto over at Paris that I would carry over here to Rancho Balaga. And that motto is this: I want every individual who walks through those doors, when they walk out those doors to go home, that they're a little bit closer to Christ. If we can have these folks have a closer relationship based on their experience at church, I feel that that's the job that we need to be doing. That's a Christ-centered attitude. That's the attitude I like to profess.
Right. Again, Pastor Don, thank you this week. Like I said, your words are such a blessing every week. When, like I said, as I go through my trials and tribulations of the election cycle, always I just get, you get frustrated. And you get I'm not a depressing type person, but you kind of get down on things. And I just listen to some of your devotionals, and I say, you know what, everything's going to be okay. Yeah, everything's going to be okay.
I'm glad. I just want to add mm-hmm. one last thing, Donovan, if you don't mind. The one question I've gotten from many people is, well, Pastor, I'm part of a church. I'm already part of a church. Why would I come to your church plant when I'm already settled in another church in Moreno Valley? And my answer is the same. I'm thrilled in another church. If you're happy, that's awesome. I don't want to take you away from your church. That's the last thing I do. As long as you're getting blessed and you're lifted up spiritually, that's what I want. But the way you need to see a church plant is the same thing as going on a missionary journey to the other side of the world. You time out to help build up a kingdom, a community for God, but that doesn't mean you leave your church. You're there to help. You're here to support. You're there to serve, because we are all part of the same family. We are all the kingdom of God. So even if you're part of another church, I'm not interested in taking you away. That's never the goal. But the goal is that you can look upon this as a missionary journey, that you're going to take your time to help a church grow. And if you go back to your old church, that's great. That's what you want. But then you could be part of that foundational base that helped lift it in a brand new church in the area. So I want people to understand that this is not anything wanting to take anybody away from their churches, but you have an opportunity to be on the ground floor of something very, very exciting, and will not take you away from what you're already doing.
Right, and then you also bring in ideas and knowledge from the church that you came from. So that really, it'll, example, you start a church or you start anything. Mm-hmm. Like I'm working on my kitchen. I didn't know there was a hole in the wall, So if you have experience, that brings the church so you don't have to fall through those pitfalls as well.
Exactly. So even if you're involved in church, Moreno Valley or elsewhere, come by Meet Pastor Don event on the 29th. And like I said, you could talk to me and say, hey, I'm involved in the church, but I'd love to help. That's the type of people we want. Those are the type of people that I'm praying that God leads to this event, because I will tell you this, and I'll tell this to Donovan as well. If you are a part of this, you will be blessed. The people that helped me start Parish Church still talk about how blessed they were, that God has blessed the church and we're still going out there. So you will be blessed. So I just pray that you're able to join us out there on the 29th. From any time from 11 to 1, and meet me, maybe get on the radio show if that's what your desire is, but then being led by God to do something wonderful for God's kingdom.
Amen. Amen. Again, thank you, Pastor Don. Thank you for letting me put you on the hot seat and ask you some questions off the cuff, because we are the hot seat. So, like I said, and I thank you for coming on the show, because you don't have to come on the show. Once again, please, on the 29th, please come out and visit with us. I'm going to be out there. We have the hot every week here on Day Street at the Starbucks, 10 o'clock, 45 minutes. Come out and have a coffee with us. Say hi. If you want us to pray with you, we will pray with you. Again, Pastor Donnie's not a political man. We're just somebody that works together. And again, he's praying for Moreno Valley, and he's praying for our leaders. And like I said, God has already got the answer to who's going to represent us in these elections. So, and if that's God's will, let His be done. So we'll see you again next week. This has been the Hot Seat Radio Show, and don't forget to tune in on Wednesdays. We're at the Day Street on Fredericks, 4 to 6 p.m. And also, please go to Reflections Facebook page, go to Reflections YouTube channel. Pastor Don's devotionals are there and archived for you to go back and listen to and get some inspiration. This has been the Hot Seat Radio Show. Pastor Don and Donovan Sadiq. You guys have a great week.